More troubling news out of Philly. Hasson Reddick has requested a trade. Big blow for the Philadelphia Eagles. He's a big piece on that defense. Over the last 2 years, he has a total of 27 sacks, so that's a lot of production, and that would be a huge hole to fill on that defense. He's a leader on that team. This would be a massive, massive loss and a huge step backwards in a team that's already in limbo, has a lot of questions going into next year. Next year for the Eagles is really a make or break year for them, because if they go 500 or worse, or I bet you even if they miss the playoffs, Sirianni is probably gone. It doesn't matter that he made it to the Super Bowl a couple years ago. Just remember and look what happened to Doug Peterson. I mean, he got the Eagles a bowl for the first time ever, and then 2 years later they canned his ass. So anything goes in Philadelphia, I'll tell you that much. The primary reason why Hasson is asking for a trade is because he wants to get paid. He has 1 year left on his contract, and he wants that extension. He doesn't want to potentially risk an injury on his last year of this contract. He wants to get paid now. Business decision. We'll see if it pans out for him. He's got a lot of leverage, too. He was the only good thing on that terrible Eagles defense last year. So if the Eagles aren't going to pay him, he's going to go somewhere else, and he's going to get a lot of money because he's a pretty good player. Potential reason why he might be asking for a trade is because, again, I'm not in the locker room, I'm not on the team, but it was ugly. Like, it was an ugly, ugly year for that team, and I can only imagine what that building was like throughout the whole year. I mean, there was a lot of drama. They fired their DC. A lot of reports about Jalen Hurts and the team being really unhappy and miserable for the majority of the year. So maybe he just wants a fresh start too. That's a possibility. Now, if he does get traded, a potential team to look out for would be the Houston Texans. This would be a crazy acquisition for them to add to that defense that already has a great core, with D'Amico Ryans really calling the shots. Man, that would be really, really, really exciting. The reason why they're a potential candidate, because D'Amico Ryans, and they have a ton of cap space, and I think this would be a very, very, very good investment. The Texans could use another pass rusher, and in the NFL, you could never have enough pass rushers, and they're an AFC team, so the Eagles would want to not trade them to someone else in the NFC preferably. So there's a lot of boxes that have a lot of check marks, so look out for that. Man, that'd be huge for the Texans. I'm telling you, I've been saying this for a while now. Texans, Super Bowl favorites in the top 5 next year. Such a core. And I know sophomore slumps are real things and possibilities, and now they're going to head into next year with a target on their back. No one's going to take them as a joke. Everyone's going to take them super seriously, super prepared every week. But I'm telling you, that's a legit team. And if they got Hasson Reddick, wow. That'd be really, really crazy. Other Eagles news. There are some potential for some pre-free agency roster cuts, such as Kevin Byard. Kevin Byard. That whole secondary was trash last year, so I think everyone on that secondary should be fired or cut and just rebuild with Vic Fangio, because he's going to implement his scheme, and why not just completely start from scratch? Because, man, it's just That Tampa Bay game on the road, that defense was Swiss cheese the whole night. That was embarrassing. Like, the Eagles, that was not a playoff team last year. Like, that was really, really bad. So, that's a potential cut. Another cut is Avonte Maddox. He only played in 4 games this past year. But if they do cut him, they'll save $2 million in cap. So, that's something. It really depends on if the Eagles want to get aggressive in free agency this year. It's really interesting, like I mentioned, because I feel like they need to go all in this year and really go for it and be aggressive, because if they have another mediocre, turmoil-filled season, everyone's going to be gone. Sirianni's going to be gone. Jalen Hurts is going to be in a major question going forward, because he got that huge contract and he's only had 1 good year so far. So, Eagles fans, I don't know how you're feeling about Jalen Hurts right now, but I would be feeling I'd be feeling really nervous about Jalen Hurts' contract going forward. I like Jalen Hurts, but he's got to improve as a passer if he's going to live up to that contract, because that contract is astronomical for the level of play that we all saw last year. Just not even in the ballpark of where it should have been. So, he's got a lot of work to do. The last cut would be Fred Johnson. Wouldn't be a huge blow. Just a decent O-lineman, a journeyman, would save $1 million in cap space. So we'll see what the Eagles do. Eagles fans, what do you think they should do? I think, man, I don't even know. Like, losing Jason Kelce too, like, that's tough. He's the heart and soul of your team. He's the heart of that O-line. Without him, that O-line is definitely going to take a step backwards. I just think there's major potential for all of this to just be a major meltdown in the 2024-2025 year for the Eagles. If I was an Eagles fan right now, I'd be sweating. I'd be nervous. I wouldn't be looking forward to this year. I know we're a long ways away. You know, the Eagles have had some good drafts the past 3-4 years, so we'll see what Jeffrey Lurie and the boys drop, but it's really a make or break year, because I'm telling you, major changes are going to happen if they're not a good contender in the very wide open NFC. I mean, can we just talk about that for a second, how wide open the NFC is? I mean, you got the 49ers, the Lions, and like the Packers and Rams. The Cowboys are irrelevant. They always will be irrelevant. But seriously, like, who else do you have in the NFC that's actually like a legitimate threat? The Vikings? Like, come on. Like, honestly, that conference is wide open compared to the AFC. So, Eagles fans, what do you think? Should they re-sign Haason Reddick and just give him a major bag? Or should they trade him for draft capital or what have you? I really don't know, but I do know that the Eagles need to win and be successful this year, or else it'll be very nuclear in Philadelphia. Anyways, that's all I got. Peace.